It's a bit slow right now. Huh. I think that's Facebook though.
Mm,
Let's see. There it goes. Okay, there it goes. Okay, let me tag you. Mary.
okay.
So your son plays soccer, football? Is that right?
Gaelic football. It's like Irish
Gaelic.
football. They use their hands as well.
Is it like
Yeah.
it's like rugby or what? Is that like rugby?
No, they kick the football into their hands. They can use their hands and they kick it, and it's kind of rough. Like they tackle each other a bit. It's not quite as rough as rugby, but it's not soccer either.
Mm.
It's just what the Irish boys play and girls if they want to.
Wow, that's awesome. Gaelic.
Yeah,
Okay, we're
yeah.
live. Yeah, we got it.
Gaelic football. Yeah.
I just tagged you. All right, so we have a impromptu show. We had to cancel this morning. Healing, peace, love, and
Okay.
comfort to Stellar. She had a medical
Mm,
issue come up. So, and then 2 minutes later, there's
a
Mary.
rose for
Oh, there's the
everyone.
rose. Yeah, there's the rose.
Pink rose today.
I bought some roses yesterday, actually.
Oh, roses every moment of every second should be bought
Right.
and grown.
There's something to
Yeah.
that. So you sent me a
Mm,
message, and I had just seen something that you
yeah.
posted in regard to the father, and I went, "Whoa!"
Mm,
There's been so much, especially recently. There's been so much about the mother, and rightfully so. But I did have an experience about 6 weeks ago in the park. Strangely enough, the park is called in Spanish. Well, in English, you would say the Park of the Grandmothers. And I was
okay.
sitting there. I was sitting in the park, and they said, and I said, God, I come in here sometimes, but I didn't really take a look at this. I didn't realize all these trees are feminine. And then they said to me, well, what do you think the name of the park is? And I said, oh. And then I saw this one big tree that then I saw this one really tall tree that I hadn't noticed before. And I said, wow, that's masculine. And then it had like this flap in front of its heart. And it had this uh, ancient, uh, archaic face that I'd seen before in the mountains, right? And so he started talking to me. But at the end of it, he showed me this opening in his heart. He said, "This is where the mother lives, in my heart." So, what's going on with the father energy?
Yeah.
What are you picking up on? Thanks for coming
Well,
in too.
that's beautiful because, oh, I'm so happy to be here because I woke up full of this um, father's heart, this lion heart, ruby heart, and I was, I just knew I had to talk today. Um, and I was hoping to talk to you. I did it live, but I was like, no, if I can get to talk to Todd. But when you say that the tree told you that the mother lives inside his heart, that feels perfect because outside of outside of the heart, um, outside of the coherent heart, everything is seen in a fractured state. And the mother is the pattern of wholeness. So in order for the pattern of wholeness to be perceived, it has to be through the heart. It has to be felt because it is so incredibly vast. And it's coming to the point where when we get to fully see the fullness of the mother, each one of us will see ourselves truly for the first time, and how quantum and vast we are. And okay, so what's coming with the father's heart today was, so we know, and it was all about the mother because we were taking care of the subconscious space, the water space, the womb space. And I've spoken this before, that there's a unified womb network through women. Like, it was our job to clean up the water, the subconscious. That was the women's job. That is the inhale, right? The inhale, um, the prayer before the action, the whisper before the action. And it comes to me, and I will speak this as plain as I know it to be, that it is the man's job to clean up the realm of fire, which is the world of action, the world that is built, what we're witnessing right now, which is the exhale. It looks it's kind of volcanic at the moment and a bit violent, but it's that will be brought to order through the coherence of the Father's heart within men. There's a unified heart field between men, and it carries. Now, this will be for everyone, but I will say the healing of it is going to come through the unification of men, because the Father is the first. The heart, the light in the heart, was the first born of the mother, right? So there is the coherence that is forming now, as everything is in this compressed state where everything has to be felt within the heart. It's a lens of projection, a lens of creation, the creator's eye, but that's not enough. It cannot be an eye like a speculator's eye anymore, or a predatory eye anymore. It has to be an eye that can hear and feel the whole vibration of the full symphony of the mother, that can actually attune to the wholeness of the imprint of the mother's blueprint for everything, and be the lens of that, be the projection of that. Does that make sense? It's kind of vast.
No, this it's interesting because I had those I had those 15 seizures on the blood moon, and you helped me, by the way, and that was fantastic because I normally don't. I do my own maintenance, but and I had 200 of them from the ages of 15 to 50, and then I didn't have but one for 14 years, and until that night. Well, the one that I had was in about this time of year in 2023. And it was really strange because it was only the second time that I ever retained consciousness the entire episode until the other night. And that was a whole other thing. Well, the reason I think that's interesting is because this was 3 years ago, I'd say almost to the week, and I stayed conscious. And so I flew out of my body and I found myself on a high ridge. And I was looking down, and there were two oceans crashing into each other. And I understood that the reason I was allowed to retain my consciousness is so I could witness this. And so what happened was both of these oceans, these mighty oceans, were coming together and colliding, and they were both masculine. And I was witnessing the beginning of that unification. And so in that experience, I was the omniscient one, or I was speaking as or for, and basically I said, what are we doing? Let's try something different. Let's lay down our arms, and that's must be connected to this moment. Otherwise, I wouldn't have thought of it. So it makes sense.
Everything is beautifully piecing together, and nothing is accidental anymore. There is just this call to coherence within what I will speak. Because I looked for the eye of the Creator, which I call the eye of Father, because I'm coming at it from, like a completely vast water form. That's just how I look at things. So that's how I remember. And remember, I know everything as a love story. So I see it, I have it. Maybe those aren't the right words. A scientist would say a different words, but those are the words I use. So I was looking for this because I could just witness just for myself as a woman that I wasn't seen. I was seen as projections of whatever was wanted, and where that was, the most inverted way of that is when the woman was considered the moon, like the shadow of the masculine. So that's even less than a projection, I think. That's just, I don't know what that is. So I just realized there was something inherently wrong with the eye that was witnessing the mother. And when I say mother, I mean the whole pattern of creation, the whole symphony. There was something wrong, that the wholeness could never be felt or seen. So I tracked it to over Giza. I witnessed Metatron's cube, is what I just saw the pattern, and then I found out that's what people would call it. So again, I'm just using the word that people use, not trying to add any extra meaning to the word or to the form. And I just felt if I placed a dodecahedron, a rose quartz dodecahedron over Metatron's cube, that would allow it to heal. Because the dodecahedron is the geometry of heart coherence, and it was rose quartz, so this was of the purest love, But what I'm witnessing now is that there, from this, and that is my truth. That is what I was called to do. I'm witnessing that compounding of the 12, the 12, the 12 compounding into heart coherence. And when I say 12, how that is the 12 tribes, the 12 DNA strands, the 12 bloodlines, everything that pulses through our unified creational body, feeling that this is actually the birthing of the 13th, which is the one born of the 12, which in my knowing it's almost creating this inward spiraling within the dodecahedron from the compounding of the symphonic pressure of this geometry. Is creating that pinpoint, that trajectory point, that to me is the accurate lens of the creator's heart, which is the creator's eye, which you could call the beholder's eye. So it is accurately creating the eye, the direction, the trajectory that serves the symphony of the whole divine will, essentially.
So the 13, that seems
Mm.
significant. Is it like, because I mean, I know that around that same time too, I have a lot of experiences with the grandmothers, and so I would go to this one place. It was about 3 years ago, and they showed me the 12. There was 12 of them, and then the 13th one was kind of like half in this world and half not. And they said, now you're ready to go to the 13th one. And I said, well, where does it go? They said, we don't know. So I kind of got the impression when I was listening to you, I think it's an important number. And it kind of sounds or feels like it's the last one. The last one is the first one, or something like that. I remember when I first woke up
Mm.
and the godfathers of the earth came to me, and there was 13 chairs, and they showed me that the first chair and the 13th chair, the same being was in both of them, and it was Yeshua. So I don't know what that means, but that now that you say the 13, it just kind of and then the
Mm.
dodecahedron part of it, I have never considered that. You're saying that that is
Mm.
the kind of like the base component of the heart when it's
Yeah, that is it. It's the geometry of heart coherence. I just learned that from Harold Kautz. He was speaking about how it's the geometry of heart coherence. And then I thought then, well, how to bring the beholder's eye to heart coherence, to symphonic coherence. What I would say about the 1 and the 13, what I know about that, it's like they are the same, but it's like the 1 is the intention and the 13 is the action. And the 12 between them, what I have seen it as, this is what I was shown, that the first is the white diamond of Andromeda, the sound, the intention of creation of the eternal mother would be called the mother because it's intention. And this kind of, flowers into 12 crystalline points, which I was shown represented by 12 crystalline grandmothers. And that begins the rose spin. And in the center of that rose spin, from the compounding of the song of it, is the Father. The 13th is the action of creation. So they are actually bound in the center by the symphony. Both are bound to the symphony of wholeness.
Well, that sounds powerful. Feels powerful.
Yeah. And it's because it is the perfect reflection then, without the projections and anything to do with the moon. We're talking about source sound and source light. And I must say that 13th, when I say that, it's in my knowing that light of creation, that light of ignition, which becomes the vertical, propulsion, is born from the pressure, like through the sonoluminescence of that compounding song of 12, like a bubble that ignites into light.
And when you speak of,
And it makes sense when, sorry, Todd.
no, go ahead.
Just when you kind of like you feel, when you get like something rings true, and it's almost like a little bubble burst inside in your, something just, it's light, but it kind of explodes, and it comes from resonance, or if you cry all of a sudden through resonance, it feels like the light is always connected to the water, you know.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I experienced that the last 2 nights at the beach, actually. Uh, and yesterday I had some episode, and I can't recall what it was literally, but it was a plasma episode. I was awake, I was conscious, and I wasn't meditating, and I wasn't walking. So I either was sitting in here or I was sitting at the beach. But this whole plasma thing happened, where it was like swirling around me, and I could feel it, and it had all these colors in it, like gold and rainbow. And I thought, what is this? I don't know what it was, but it was pretty extraordinary. When you talk about, you mentioned Andromeda a minute ago, and that's been coming up. You're speaking of the galaxy? Are you speaking of the Andromeda galaxy, or the constellation?
Yeah, I guess, like, I don't know.
Okay.
It's I know it to be where I call to. I was impulsed to call there out of pure desperation because the world was going to shit, basically. So I was like, call there and see, call your mother and see what happens.
I think
And the
it's the
feeling was that I was calling the mother, the
yeah.
white diamond, to come, and it was like it's like ha. It's a very loud ha sound, and it feels like it opens up a birthing channel. So whatever needs to come between her intention, like from the beginning, it's like a birthing channel. It feels to me like the mother's source sound.
Yeah, I think there's something to that too, because in the last month or so, that's come back up again, and I'm getting it as the Andromeda galaxy. Like, even in my soul lineage, in this particular galaxy, uh, I know that's where I came from. I'm not saying I originated there, but my last stop before coming to the Milky Way was from Andromeda Galaxy, and I know other people that have aligned with that. So there must I don't know if that's important, but the way you're speaking about it, and then the association with the mother kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, it is very important because it's the sound, the crystalline sound, to bring our DNA to its quantum capacity. It is a purifying tone, and our role of bringing that here, and you know, either flushing that through or programming that through the consciousness, whatever way we work, whether we work in the subconscious or the seen consciousness. It is a very clarifying, immaculate. The word is immaculate. The immaculate heart of the mother. It is to clarify our DNA, so that we needed a quantum step between the inversion that had taken place and what was the trajectory, the anti-life trajectory that was offered to us in relation to our DNA being completely scrambled and owned by another force. That was what made the call of desperation happen, um, for the mother to literally take over the DNA, to connect and find a way to guarantee our purity, our full intergalactic embodied everything purity, the whole innocence of the whole, everything that was made from that source of Andromeda to where we stand now in all time space reality.
Yes, that resonates with me. That resonates. There must
Yeah.
be a reason that that's coming up. I guess it's all coming up now as our memories return, and like you said, it is important. That will be
Yes.
very important, um, because even in the the limited perception of only looking at the Milky Way, we're not just
Mm.
we're not just from here. I mean, this is huge. This is a huge,
Yeah.
a series of incarnations in history and lineage, and it's just as wild though. It's come to the we're on the other
Yeah.
side of this now. I really feel that we're landing on the other side. Well, I feel I have, and I know others have, and I don't know that we're fully conscious, but just even having this conversation, just the way it happened, like within 45 minutes we got on and look at the subject matter and the the
Yeah.
the comprehension of it. It's beyond the words. Even the way
Yeah.
somebody said, um, your words are like a symphony, and that's what I'm saying. It's like we're picking up on this telepathy and intuition, and the memories are coming in, and it's just like permeating through, like that plasma that happened to me. It just I could feel it. It was just permeating through my body. I don't know if it was coming from inside my body, or it was coming from outside to inside my body, but it's extraordinary right now. It really is.
That sounds like fun. Like that plasma sounds like, um, the paint that you could paint with. It feels like something you could move and play with, and that sounds like fun. Mm. But the importance of Andromeda, I would speak, and I would speak to the importance of the white diamond of Andromeda because of its purity. Um, is is that it is the one that birthed the 12. So there is no strand of species or timeline or bloodline outside of its reach. It is here to harmonize all, and to recreate, to reinstate the organic, angelic, elemental, all of us, all that we are. The symphonic is a better word. Um, Continuum trajectory for all of us to be in togetherness, and this is where that when I speak of the one born of the 13, it is the role of the eternal Father is what is next, because there has to be the frequency of the eternal Father must resound, so that within every one of us, the consciousness, the Christ consciousness that knows how to orchestrate the symphony of everything without war, without self-sacrifice, without rationality, as in we'll do a bit of this and a bit of that. It is everything. That is the bit that is being born now. With it cannot happen fast enough, because what is happening right now. We're seeing what it looks like when men have taken. I want to speak of the word Abraham, because all these words have a meaning. They are portals, and Abraham is a beautiful word, and the energy of Abraham is beautiful. I encountered him one time, and he's a beautiful energy. And I don't know history, but I just know he has a lot to say. And it is interesting that we are returning all code, everything spoken will have to answer to the full uninverted original meaning of what they say. So right now, the Abrahamic religions will have to answer to Abraham, who they took the name of and created divisions to forge dynasty and empire and oppression. And I'm not going to say all the nasty stuff because we know it too well, but they will answer to that long white breath of the father, of the grandfather, and he is flushing them clean as a whistle right now. And his allegiance, and I'm just using that name as an example because it does mean something, but not trying to exclude anyone, but the allegiance of the long white breath of the grandfather is to the son and the daughter, the living son and the daughter. So there has been a bypass of any contracts in the bloodlines, any spells, any false allegiances. It is not the case. It's like, when the grandparents completely spoil the grandchildren and they completely ignore the parents. It's kind of like that, but in a quantum scale, that it is just the power of the grandparents or the ancestors is being given to the children, and any of us who choose to embody the child, the eternal daughter, the eternal son. So a lot of what they would like us to think is important for us to contend with, it's not. This is an uprising, but it's also being met. It's almost like it's two sides of the tunnels of a breath of freedom, a breath of truth, just trying to free and liberate absolutely everyone. We're not carrying the legacy, the lineage, the totem pole of, that the son ends up the most sacrificed, the daughter ends up the most burdened. The son will be the exalted one, the daughter will be the exalted one, as it is in every single other species. It is never that the son and the daughter carry the weight of inheritance, like accumulated toxic inheritance, be that religion or something else, or slave ownership, or all of these nasty things that we have in our bloodlines that make us crippled. It won't be that. We will have the living breath. It is not about, we're just having to, but that also involves releasing the love of the physical world, or the worship of the physical world, or our position or our place within it, and allowing all story, all position, all place to just be swept away like a rug from under our feet. And that I'm witnessing that at the moment, and that's fine. Just a bit of a surprise, but it's fine. You know, we can't have partial freedom, I suppose. We have to have full freedom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that you mentioned Abraham. It's so interesting that these things keep happening. These synchronicities that are occurring and more recognizable because the hearts are more open. That's what's driving it.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to you, and I keep getting these flashbacks from the last 24 hours. But when I reawoke in 2011, after a few months, I was visited. I was taken to a mountain. I was taken to a mountain, and at the bottom of the mountain was a man, and his name was Seth. And he told me he was the first human, um, the son of Adam and Eve, and that he was basically he was escorting me to the mountain. So I went up the mountain, and as I would go up the mountain, I would be met by a prophet, and they would spend time with me and talk to me, and this went on for like 2 weeks at a time. And then I got halfway up the mountain, and they said, "This is as far as you can go, because the ones that you're going to talk to now are going to come down from the top of the mountain." And it was two of them. It was Isaiah and Abraham. And even
Nice.
though they were like the elders of the group, it was kind of understood that Abraham was Abraham. And it's so funny because you said I'm not really that, I don't know that much about him or whatever, but I can tell you that he was the others would talk to me, but like when he came down, he was huge too. Like I'm a tall guy, right? And Noah was tall and Solomon was tall. Daniel was there. He was short and stocky, and Samuel was there, and so on. But when Abraham came, he was like a giant, and he was very dark complected. And he just stood before me, and he didn't say a word, not a word. He just looked at me, and it was almost scary. And then this gray cloud formed over his head, and it wasn't even English, but I knew what it was. I knew what it said. It was letters, and symbols like Aramaic, and it just said faith. That's all it said,
Mm.
faith. And I never forgot that. Where the others would, like one would teach me logic and wisdom, and another would teach me spiritual confidence. He never said a word. It's just faith, and that always has stuck with me. Like it's something
Mm.
that I understood, like the word soul or heart. But I found that presence, that consciousness, that mirror, that aspect to be extremely powerful. Like the epitome of
Yeah.
faith. Like Job.
Mm. It's really beautiful, these like visions you receive. And I want to speak of you spoke about the father of tree and the archaic face. And I want to speak about the petrified channels of the father of Father Earth. What we know what was done to the trees when they were chopped down. And look, there's probably way more. I know the feeling of it, right? Father Earth was petrified and made incredibly brittle, and the water removed. And when the water is removed, that means the, the light can the light, so the intelligence, the information, the eternal information that is to stream through Father Earth. Now, knowing that the masculine, like the skeleton, let's say the bloodlines, um, I don't know if skeleton is the right word, but we are made in the image of the Father Earth too. So what is done to that, these very important tree systems and all of that, is done to us too. So in what that was done to take away the living word of the Father, the fire codes, the living light codes. So when light travels through water, so if you can petrify something, if you can drain some, sorry for saying that.
What? Saying what?
No, I just could feel it. I just said if you could drain something, that's essentially what was done. Sorry, I could just feel that.
Yeah, I just felt what you felt.
So if you could drain something or petrify, take the water away from it, you would take the living light away from it. So they could teach their stupid lies. basically, and their evil words in place. And there is a real thing here at the moment with the throat that I'm seeing. It's like the king's chamber in the pyramids I was shown. The queen's chamber is beneath it, beneath the king's chamber. I put a rose in there, and I'm just being shown that inhale, that breath is going to open this up. That's what that was for. The Queen's Chamber, this, I only know the tiniest bit, but it was a harmonic chamber and to make the sound. But the King's Chamber was, I don't know the word, like the microphone or the amplifier, the projector. So essentially that network where, but obviously it's coming back if we're having these visions, and Abraham is letting us know what he wants us to know, and many others if we're having, and Jesus as well came to talk to me about chrism, and if this is coming through, that means that living network of light, of intelligence, of library, of the stored, the known, what is known, is open and channeling through, and the vortex water, the mother's water, opening all channels, the rose essentially, reclaiming all space, ending the illusion of time, is bringing that living library into the eternal now, so that every one of us can feel that wisdom and knowing in our body, so we will never be convinced outside of our body's knowing ever again.
That fits. That fits too with something that happened to me last night, that I remembered when you were saying this, especially when you said the draining, because I was standing with one of the trees, and my roots were matching their roots, which were like, I don't know, 3 meters deep, and so I when that happened, then I started to feel the moisture of the water of the mother, right? And then as it was coming through my feet, I started to see kind of like the circle of life, and the trees started to show me uh, more than they ever had. Really showed me their beingness, their livingness, you know. And it was so ancient. It was back to the beginning, and then it took me through all of the ocean kingdom and the animal kingdom and even the plant kingdom, like fruits and vegetables, what we call fruits and vegetables. And it was basically showing me this kind of an evolution or a re-evolution, that ultimately we weren't eating each other. I know this sounds crazy, but even the fruits and vegetables, they were showing me that they just were meant to be, and they drop and they atrophy and then they seed and they and so I said, well, okay, so we're breathing uh, mana and the light, and they said yes, this is what's happening. And I'm going, God, no wonder I can't eat. That, in the last couple of months, like, you've heard people talking about their diets changing. Like, I'm not even trying to do this, and
Yeah.
I can't eat things. I can't eat as much, and there's just certain, they don't revolt me, but I just can't go there. Particularly meat. And I've never been a huge meat eater, but
Yeah.
I don't have a problem eating meat. I live in Mexico. They have tacos on the corner. I mean, but I'm not able. I mean, it's avocados, tomatoes, um, fruit, a little bit of rice maybe, and some beans, but I'm having a hard time with it. So I feel like that there was something to that. And I feel like it's accelerating pretty rapidly. Not just that part of it, but the whole thing.
I feel that when you get that visual of all the different things, it feels to me like the amassing of the Creator's breath. And if it were that case, and if it's becoming that case, that our breath is the Creator's breath, that makes perfect sense that we wouldn't need to eat as much for energy, because the breath is literally that eternal breath, full of the color and the everything, the codes of everything. So I suppose if we eat, we're eating for to receive the codes, I guess, of whatever that is. But if our breath, our consciousness is full of that as a living stream, I guess that would make sense, right? That we can um, just breathe and let everything live.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it would make sense. It'd make total sense. I mean, the idea of death, that itself is a misnomer. It's not even real. So, if you see a lion kill a lamb, or look, I'm having this incredible uh, interaction with the ants, and I know you might think I'm crazy, but I'm being told it's there's no exceptions. You can't kill anything. Now, about 2 days ago, I was got up and I was kind of off planet. I was a little bit sleepy, and I walked into the kitchen, and there was ants all over the counter. So I wasn't thinking. And I grabbed a paper towel, and I just started to wipe them, and I was killing them. And then I stopped, and I went, "Oh wait, we're not doing that anymore." Okay, so I stopped, and I said, "I'm sorry." So the craziest thing, I go out to the beach and I sit down, and I'm there for like 4 or 5 minutes, and I look down at my arm, and there's ants all over my arm,
Wow.
and they're
You're their
telling me,
new leader.
yeah, well, they're telling me no, that they didn't bite me though. But there was a lot of them. There was probably
Yeah.
like 20 of them, and I didn't freak out
Yeah.
because I knew they were telling me something, and they said, "This is how it works.
Wow.
We're not gonna bother you, but this is real. So this is how harmony is manifested or anchored with all beings, with all things, right? So,
Wow.
and I've had this with other things as well. And another part of the message that's come in pretty big has been through water, because here, I can boil water, but most people buy, uh, water in a container, and it's plastic. So, a big part of what I've been receiving lately is what we think, the judgments we have of ourselves, obviously, the judgments we have of others, but the judgments we have of other things. If I'm going to drink out of a plastic bottle of water, then that has plastic particles, and we know about all that stuff, right? And I'm basically being told that we're overcoming all of that programming, that the mother is still in, not only in the water, but she's in the plastic, right?
Yeah.
And so everything is is to be harmonized with, is to
Yeah.
be seen, because our thoughts, literally, we know this now, are making up the experience. So if I think
Yeah.
something's bad for me, then something's going to be bad for me. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. This is just where I've been in the last. I just came out of that situation with the seizures, and it took me about 3 days, which would have ended about 2 days ago. And so for the last 2 days, this is the kind of information that's coming in, and the kind of experiences I'm having, and it feels incredibly profound, like incredibly profound.
Yeah.
I wept for 2 straight hours the night before last at the beach. Just sat down in front of this fire pit that Merlin made. He made for me about a week ago. I thought I was, my imagination was running wild, but then they kept bringing me back to it, bringing me back to it. So 2 nights ago, when everything kind of fell into place, and I, where am I going to sit? And then I saw the fire pit, and oh my God, and I just started laughing, and I sat there, And for 2 hours, as the sun was going down, I just wept. And it was out of humility and grace and love. And it sure feels like we're on the other side of this thing. We've arrived.
Mhm.
And I don't mean to say that like there's nothing else to do, but I mean, I really feel like my feet are on the ground. Now, somebody just asked a question a while ago of you. Could you please ask her about the exit?
Yeah.
How long are we staying here? I don't want to answer that. That's for you if you want to answer that.
Oh, oh, I don't even recognize those words. But
That's
this
why
is
I
my
didn't want to
home.
answer it.
I
That's
adore
why
it here. Yeah.
that's why I didn't want to answer it, because
Yeah.
that's something that's I've gotten.
Mm.
Well, I've gotten it before, but in the last 2 days, this is what I've really gotten.
Mm.
That we're not going anywhere. This is our home. This is
Mm.
the central location of the universal, and we've come to the
Yeah.
center.
This is the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we're only just getting there. We haven't even started to party. Like there's no way I'm leaving. The amount of beautiful things that have to happen yet, that when everyone's in harmony and we are, appreciating beauty and we are prioritizing freedom and love and joy and togetherness and friendships. Like this is where it's at. This is the heart of the universe. And I am very, very grateful to be here and honored. And I'm very grateful to my ancestors for keeping me here in the ways that they had to, whatever ways that were. And I'm very grateful for my parents, very grateful for the soil beneath my feet. And that helps with gratitude. When we are a bit lost, my mother used to always say, just start with gratitude. If you can't get anything else, begin with gratitude.
Yes. That's how I start
But
every day, every morning.
yeah, what you spoke about, I want to speak about that, the overcoming, like the plastic, right? The feeling that the plastic would make us sick and things. The beautiful thing about this eternal mother, because if you think of where the DNA was being taken by the anti-mother, right, by the machine mind, it was being taken to a petrified state, actually, like what was done with Father Earth. It was being taken to like just the most inverted it could possibly be without actually ending life, just to try to transition the beautiful, supple, tender, living human into a machine kind of a thing. Like a very, very narrow little needle that was trying to be formed there to see if it was an experiment. They didn't, they were happy enough to take some losses with that. But if you think of the difference, because everything like that inverted, it's just a replica of the original, one of the original, an original design of the mother. So if that was the intention for the owned and the occupied and the kind of dead end DNA. The opposite is true in its full glory. The DNA is an evolving um, tool. It is able to be continually evolved. That is the beauty of the free womb. It is able to perceive what is going on and continually remake us through symbiosis to be able to answer the call of the child. We are the child within the free womb. We are the light of the world. So we speak into that womb, I don't want to be harmed by plastic. And the mother finds the way, the womb finds the way to make that true. Because that is her only job, to serve her children, you know?
Yes. Yeah, and I think if you look at
Yeah.
even the last 110 years, 120 years, the uh, the level of nefarious uh, uh, materials and such put into the atmosphere, And I'm talking about, glyphosate,
Mm.
GMOs, fluoride, chemtrails. Think about that. We have, and I've been shown this, that we're not just, in a sense, growing further and further impenetrable or impervious to these things. We're actually transforming everything, right? So those things, like if you look at COVID, that's a good example, energetically speaking. It was put out there to do certain things, and yet that energy was taken, and like alchemists, we transformed it. And what occurred? It wasn't what was intended by those that initiated it. It was it created a greater awakening, and more people are coming online. This is what we do, and even though it's been a rough road, um, we can see the evidence now. That's what I'm getting. That we can see the evidence, like even the exchange that we had the other day, or even this one, and so many others I've had more recently. They just fit like puzzle pieces, and they're so, I don't know how to explain it, but they're so formidable that I don't have to talk about it. I don't have to tell anybody about it because it's full. It's, my being is filled with it, and I know that as, a frequency, as each one of us carries our frequency, it's felt. This is a whole new game, a whole new of old. I think this is what we set out to do, and something happened, but we're back. And to what you said
Yeah.
about the DNA, not only are we back, but we have added to it.
Yeah, it feels like all of those attempted, hijacks of our freedom, of our power, which had always been happening, but it just, as this is the beauty of inversion, it always comes to self collapse. Um, it it's showing it's what it did when we realized, that nobody was, so few were realizing what was happening. Hang on 2 seconds, Sean. I'm just on a call. Okay, maybe in the kitchen on the dresser. He's looking for sellotape. um, what was I saying? Yeah, it showed us where we were absent. That's what I feel like. It showed us where we were absent. Um, because when I was witnessing what was being done to us, somehow I could see how that tool belongs to me. You've taken it and you're twisting it. I could find how where the tools that they were using of psychological subconscious programming, I could see where, oh no, hang on, that's supposed to be the mother's job. We're supposed to have the prayer, like the subconscious covered. And it just showed me, because if I can feel the subconscious, if I can feel and see it coming, and others, not everyone can, and plenty of us did, but I think it kind of made the ones of us that could feel it and see it realize, well, if we can feel it and see it, we're supposed to reclaim it. Otherwise, why would we see it? So there was a level of responsibility that came, and I suppose when we realized there was definitely no one else going to solve it, we realized it was ourselves, and new networks formed, and yeah, we've done it. We are on the other side. We have passed everything through the sun. Everything has been passed through the sun, or the sun has been passed through everything. And now it's about finding where each one belongs within the symphony, within the tapestry of grace. So this is why all the lies are falling away, like storylines are falling away, the wounds are healing, so we're not trapped in a repeating timeline and things like that. So it's the the framework, the underpinning is there now for the absolute freedom of self-correction. All conditions are there to allow for the self-correction. which allows for the inversion to self-correct, but it also allows for anything where we are in our purity and we have a pure impulse from the heart of creation that will come to fruition too, because we are in the womb of all fruit, but it is the conditions have been returned to only bringing fruition to the impulses of innocence. So it's the same conditions to allow the inversion to collapse that allow the impulses of innocence and whole truth, the apple seeds, to come to life. So it's really cool. So
Yes.
simple. So
Yes.
simple.
And there's something else that came up that I think is relevant. Um, there'd been quite a bit of talk. Quite a few people had pointed out that that as like say really the whole time, but let's say last year, um, after that solstice in 24, which was the end of a 12-year period from that Mayan December of 2012, that we were going through a life review in form. And others have had that experience in out of bodies or near deaths and so on. And so there was a certain um, concept that I had in my mind, and I think probably everybody did, and a life review where you are shown the things that you missed, right? That you could have done better, and this and that. Well, over the last, ever since this happened with the seizures, I've been having a life review. These movies playing in my mind, but none of them are like that. They're all about bliss and joy and high points and love and children and parents and playing Gaelic football and basketball for me and just and I kept going, what is going on? Like this is, and then other people would chime in. My son sends me a picture out of nowhere. It took me down memory. So it wasn't just me, because then three other people that I talked to mentioned the same thing to me, and they basically said, we're having a life review, but it's not like the one I thought. It's all the high points. And so I sat with that at the beach last night, and I was told, yeah, because the other one was the distorted one. The other one came from this fake reality, this false presentation. And again, like you said, they always take something that's real and then distort it. So, I guess I realized in that moment, even that was a mind trick, you know, even that. People talk about, if you pass in the body, don't go to the light because that's an inducement. The reincarnation machine on the moon and this and that. I mean, again, I'm speaking energetically, metaphorically, but this is really, I feel this is really, you know, characteristic of what we what we are and what's materializing as this stuff falls away. There's no judgment here. There's no judgment in a life review. Life is life. This is what it's all about. Life is, that's the whole point, to be alive, to live. And yet we were put through the ringer, through all this craziness, and it literally is fading away. No matter what they show on the internet that's going on in the Middle East or here or there, or whatever, and I understand all that. There's something far greater happening here. And it's amazing. It's an honor to be here. I'm with you. And
Yeah.
thank you
Well,
for
that
yeah.
is the most. Sorry, what? Sorry, Todd.
No, go ahead.
That is the most exciting thing I've ever heard at this time. That to feel that passion is rising through. That's the living light, right? The rising sun, the rising Christ light of ourselves, of our passion, of our self love, rising through that that web of time, of story that has held us together, and turning it into something beautiful, that is massive, because what that is freedom within love. So we get to keep, because so often we have searched for freedom by abandoning our prayer, our family story, our self story, and that is our prayer, the sheath that holds us, the crystalline sheath that is from the first mother through our grandmother, mother, etc. And the body of life that we have lived becomes our robes. And that just makes me feel so excited to know that that matter body, that personal matrix body, is becoming purified. Because what that means, I know what that means next, is that when that happens for each one of us, we are able then to offer compassion. And if we are able to look at ourselves in a soft way, we will be able to soften the gaze. And that's especially important for what's going to have to come next when people come together and decide to stop killing each other. There's a softening needed. So that is just, that tells me there's a release of shame from the unified body, because it is the shame, the shadow, the confusion that keeps us thinking of the regrets and the guilts and things like that. Um, that's incredible. That's a massive freedom. Massive.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was guided to write after the seizures. Um, and I put a post up, and I was just told, put this post up and don't look back. And I didn't feel like it really made sense, but I just forget it. And but that's what it said in the conclusion. It said, so in other words, I can I can essentially, this is what was happening to me anyway, relive my life now, every single moment, okay, with my multidimensionality in my soul. In other words, I'm not feeling any pain, not any suffering, no matter what happened. I'm living these events and I'm seeing the perfection of it. I'm seeing the gain from it. I'm seeing the code from it, via the experience. And no more judgment, like you said. And I specifically said no shame, no blame, no externalization. Uh, and I didn't try to do that. It just came in, like through these life review, this different life review. It was a life review without judgment. It was nothing but goodness. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but I can't be the only one. And I had two friends tell me the same thing in 2 or 3 days. So I feel like, I got a message from Gareth Jenkins, who'll be on tonight, uh, because he had the seizures at the end of last year, the last 3 days of last year,
Okay.
and they had to put him in the hospital and put him in a coma in order to stop the grand mal seizures. He had 5 of them. And so he wrote me back and he said, I'm glad to see you're all right. He said, through his connection to the Arcturians and to God, which he calls Tom, uh, that we had crossed a huge threshold, and that it would become easier now because more and more people would become aware of the transition that's occurring. That's what he said. And it really felt right. It really felt right. Um, and that's another thing I noticed too, is that there's some masculine voices that are coming through now. For a long time it was the feminine and needed to speak, but you couldn't
Yeah.
force it. They had to, the field had to become safe enough, stable enough, and then they started. And I see this now, that masculine voice, that essence, is starting to speak now because it's safe, because it's okay. So like
Yeah.
today we have Gareth tonight. Bliss Diggins is coming on in 20 minutes. He's been on about 3 weeks. He was a walk-in at 21, and he did his thing and everything, and then he's connected to Pleiadians, but he speaks directly with the Syrian Blue Star Consciousness, or what the Hopi call the Blue Star Kachina. And he's written a book and he's given it away for free, and we're starting a series tonight. But so it'll be interesting, and listening to his voice, having a conversation with this man, and watching him cry out of the same tears that I had at the beach while we're talking. This is something we haven't seen. Now, we've seen it from our feminine essence, the mother. But when the father is moved, gives me chills to my bones. When the father is moved. And so this is a union as much as it is anything else. And we're just getting started.
That, I don't know if I already said this, but the core point of this unifying of the Father's heart is the water, is the being able to be moved by what is felt, and what is seen creates the movement. So we come down from, because really that the eye of the projector, the eye of the creator, has been the fractured, the broken in half lens of heaven and hell. These are the projections from the broken heart of the Father, heaven and hell. And then you have the bottom half of the body, which is often, has been traumatized and is kind of hidden in many ways. And then the top half of the body, which is often a false kind of a show, a hollow. It's like an observer, but not a feeler. Like it has to come together in the heart. And the feeling, like you said, when the Father feels, everything does change, because the emanation from that, that Father's heart, that ruby Christed heart, is that ruby plasma that covers the earth. It's like a protective compassion. It's a compassion. So in compassion, all fire, all passion turns into the pattern of love, and everyone is held within that. So it is like the body of the Father actually is compassion, and that's explains the trees, and how, I'm sorry to have to say this, but how we have that image of, we have many images of the masculine being drained of blood, right? The crucifixion and that kind of thing. And think of the trees, how they were drained. There has been a vested interest in owning the blood of man and taking it out of the body and leaving the body, the heart, petrified. So what is happening in this return to the heart, the Father's heart, as the firstborn, let's say, of the womb, of the mother's womb, in the containment of the whole song, the whole symphony being sung back to life, receiving the vortexing living water to bring everything back into stream. It's returning the bloodstream of humanity, the living light stream of compassion, the liquid intelligence, the mind of the paternal eye, the mind of the husbandry eye, which is that changes everything. That is the eye that can witness everything all at the one time. So that ends the notion of the mother body, the body of source, being plundered, pillaged. That will not happen. So it is actually in the seeing But the seeing that is also feeling, it's a vibrational seeing. You know what I mean by that? It's the waves. It's in seeing through the waves of the heart that restores that perfect balance to creation. And it reclaims everything out of the hollow heart, which is aligned to the phantom fathers. You know, these kind of puppets of the religions and all of that. So it's huge, and that's where we are right now. So it cannot be avoided because the unified heart is a field. It's a field. So it is a broadcasting field of the fathers, the eternal father's frequency. The eternal father is the heart that can move the evolution along, and that is exactly what's needed, and the evolution of the wholeness along.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
You're
This was a great idea. Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you, everybody.
This was a big one to talk through. Yeah.
It
Oh,
is,
I
certainly
just want to
is.
mention before we go, on Sunday I'm doing a Zoom's like gathering for men, any men who want to attend, or I'll also record it and leave it up. But it's to return the sons to the rose. It's pinned on my page, but it's to return the sons to the rose of the mother, back into, that vortexing of the heart, rising to the infinite channel of the Father, of the eternal Father. Because I can witness in the field that there is, war has left the womb, the unified womb, and war has left the men's bodies too. And the heart is not in the war. The heart is not in the fight anymore. And I can feel a real aliveness within the field, the electrical field, asking for kind of meaning. And so that's what's kind of like, I'm just offering one portal of meaning, the rose of the eternal mother, to return the sons into the channel of the eternal father, essentially. So
Nice. This will be a powerful initiation to reclaim the inherent infinite architecture to channel the infinite stream of creative energies. So that's at 7 o'clock UK. So
yeah,
that's going to be right now. That'll be 3 o'clock in New York, noon on the Pacific Coast, and I believe that'll be about 5 a.m. in Melbourne. So yeah, that sounds very good, very timely, very timely. Because,
yeah, it's for sure needed.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the two words that jumped out
yeah,
that you said and wrote were compassion and creativity.
mm,
Because
yeah,
in order to build clean, as I understand it, it's everything. That's why so many things were taken down to nothing and deconstructed, like including Soulogy. Um, that to be
mm,
built in with clean architectural components, constructs. And in order to do that, the heart there's no, like you said, there's no other way. Our hearts, that's it.
mm,
Our hearts open. That's the first thing I wrote when I came out of the seizures. I just put a little post up and it said, "Is your heart open?" And that's it. That's it.
mm,
We don't have to go through this complicated
yeah,
minutia anymore, because everything comes down to that. Why do I feel this way? Why am I triggered? Why do I look at that situation with a prejudice or a bias? Like you said, it's inevitable. All of these things are coming to us individually, and that's another thing I think that's really, really coming to the surface too. Is we've all been through the same thing, and I feel like that's going to allow us to tap into the compassion quicker. Is to be able to say, "Oh, that's why you did that. Well, that's why I did this." We were both. It was both a product of the fake,
Yes.
the BS and the bullshit. It's okay.
Mhm.
That's the thing. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. It really is. No more boogeymen.
Mm.
And I don't know, as
No.
soft as I feel, as because I've been since mid-December, and I've resisted it, but after mid-December I didn't. This whole masculine thing, like I was told, this is your part. It's a very masculine thing, and as soft, as strong and soft and compassionate, and my heart's opening, and I know I'm not the only masculine essence. There is a fierceness in me, and I've been pretty fierce in my life and fearless at times, and some people would call me stupid, but there's a fierceness in me that is that father essence that you just don't f with. You don't even go there. It's like going into a bar.
Mm.
You go into a bar, and who's the guy that you don't want to mess with? It's the guy that's standing against the wall, that's not saying anything, that's you know just there in neutrality. You don't want to mess with that guy.
Yeah.
He's not going to be the loud guy in the room. You know,
Yeah.
it's this
Yeah.
unspeakable. It's an unspeakable presence. Yeah. God, you're amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for this.
Presence is the word. Thank you, Todd. Presence is the word, Todd. The word of that we all want and are calling in now. It's like our trees back. It is not it is not the warrior, it's not the sacrificial son, it's not the phantom father. It is the presence of the tree with the mind in the heavens, the mind in the earth. Nothing is undetected, but that stillness and presence is all that's needed. And it's connected. So it's connected to all the other trees. So it's a beautiful network of compassion. It's one mind. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Beautiful talk.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
If you're interested, we'll be back in 10
Take
minutes
care.
with Bliss Diggins. Take care.
Bye, everyone.